Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. This is going to be video number 2 of the second week of the Metallica takeover of my channel. Everything in my life in terms of YouTube has been put on hold to bring you all the best of Metallica in Mexico City. They've been here. They just finished the other night. They played 4 nights here in Mexico City and I'm here to talk about them. And this is going to be a long one. I'm going to tell you right off the bat. You can see right now how long this video is. As I sit here talking about it, I don't know how long it is, but I know it's going to be long. There's no way it's going to be less than an hour. It took me like 45 minutes just to write the notes. So I feel like there's no way I can talk for less than I wrote the notes. So it's going to be a long one. Strap yourselves in, get comfortable, get a drink, get a snack, get whatever you need, get a blanket if you have security issues and you need something to make you feel better, your blanket or something, please get that and enjoy the video. So there's a lot to get to today. And I don't know what this video is going to be called, but the main intention of it is, or the bulk, the part that's doing the heavy lifting, people like to say the heavy lifting, it's going to be about the set list. People love to talk about the set list. I love talking about set lists and reading set lists. I don't care about spoilers. But that's going to be the main part of this video. But of course, I do have many other things to talk about too. But stay tuned for the set list stuff. I'm going to compare the set lists in 3 different ways. The first one is going to be, I'm going to compare, and by the way, to get this out of the way, I'm going to call them set list A and set list B. Set list A begins with Creeping Death. Set list B begins with Whiplash. And then I'm going to take it from there. So just a little heads up when you hear me talking about this set list A and set list B, that's where it starts from. All right, but before I get to the set list, I'm going to do a little recap, review. I'm going to talk about the show that I went to recently. I went to 2 of the 4 shows. I saw set list B, which was the second night, which was last Sunday, September 22nd. Then I saw set list A, which made it very confusing for me writing this notes. My God, I had to cross things out and redo things. So I saw setlist B as my second show on Friday, September 27th. And I did a video talking about my review of that show, or what I thought about that show. This is kind of a little bit of that. I also did a video showing my travel, my whole day traveling from Cuernavaca, where I live, to Mexico City. I didn't do a video for that this time because I thought it's going to be more or less the same thing, although there were some pretty big differences, and I should have done the video for this second night. Apparently a lot of people like that. My friend Brian in Toronto sent me a message, and he said he was watching the video at the time he sent me the message, and he said he really liked watching those kinds of videos. So maybe I should have done that video. But let me first of all, I want to talk about some donations, and I'm going to get to the second part of donations. But the first part of the donations, I'm trying to, they like to say strike while the iron's hot. That's what I want to do. I want to strike while the iron's hot. Remember Terry Funk used to brand people with that red hot branding iron right on their chest? I think he did that. Well, that's what I want to do, but it's not going to hurt. And so since I'm still in Metallica mode, and it's going to be for the rest of this week, I want to take advantage, hopefully, of your generosity, but I want to pay it forward too. If anybody, because the donations for this to get me to these concerts, which I'm going to talk about next, was very successful, and very, very thankful and grateful and happy about that. More on that in a minute. But I want to take advantage of that, and I want to appeal to your generosity and maybe your willingness to continue watching my videos, and while still in Metallica mode. I will now accept donations, and I think I'm only going to talk about it in this video. If anybody wants to, and if you haven't seen, I have another series, let's call it, called I Want to Talk About This Album. I always go like this when I say I want to talk about this album. I've done about 180 episodes talking about different albums by different bands. And I did do the first 4 Metallica records, which is Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All. And then I also did the 598 Garage Days Revisited EP, and I did 72 Seasons, which kind of was at the very beginning. But I've missed the Black Album, Load, Reload, Garage Inc., Stanger, Death Magnetic, and Hardwired, Ellipses to Self-Destruct. If you would like to see me talk about those albums, to do a video, and those are usually quite in depth, as this is really, really going to be in depth. Oh, did I talk about God, I get so distracted. 3 ways that I'm going to compare the set list. There's 3 different aspects of the set list that I'm going to talk about in 3 different ways. So that's what's coming up. So about the donations, if you'd like to see me continue to do those, now I don't have those on record, and I've got some records over here. As you can see, I want to get through those. I've got enough to last me for months, doing a couple of these a week. And I'd like to get through the vinyl first. But I do have those ones that I mentioned, from the Black Album through Hardwired Ellipses to Self-Destruct. I do have those on CD, and I would like to talk about them. If you would like to donate and hear me talk about those albums, you can. I'll do it for whatever donation you think is appropriate, whatever you think it's worth for you to listen to whatever album you like. You can send a donation, send a message to me on Instagram. I'm going to put a link, or my Instagram name is Metallica Mexico. Same name as this channel, Metallica, but add Mexico. That's my name on Instagram. If you want to donate, send me a message there. I will send you my PayPal email. You can make a donation and tell me what record you would like to hear me talk about, from Black Album through Hardwired Ellipses to Self-Destruct, and I will do it. I have a lot to say about, I would say, all of those albums. Those are maybe some good, some bad. You might be surprised at what I have to say about some of those records. But I would, and I know other people on YouTube, they ask for constant, perpetual donations, and they have Patreon and what do they call it? Super Chat, or where you can be not just a subscriber, but a member and get members only content and buy me a coffee, things like that. I'm not doing any of that, but if you'd like to donate to hear me talk about those Metallica albums, I would really, Larry David talks about this, how, when you say I would appreciate it, it opens up the world. The world's at your feet, the world is your oyster, some people say. That's what I'm trying to do. So if you want to hear me talk about those Metallica albums, I would love to do it. It's a lot of work, and it's getting to be a lot of work to keep up with all this stuff. And these are my notes just for today. Only today. And like I said, I crossed a lot of stuff out. I had to go back and forth. And it is time consuming, and also to set up my equipment here instead of over there where it's usually permanent. This is if you saw the setup I had here, you would, I don't know what you would do. You'd have some kind of reaction going, what the hell is this guy doing? I'm not even going to describe it, but it's a pain in the ass to set this up. So getting to, so thank you. If for any future donations, send me a message on Instagram, and I will tell you my email so you can donate to me on PayPal, or if you're Canadian, Interact, whatever you want. Metallica Mexico on Instagram. I'll put it down below if I remember. I might screw myself by forgetting. So getting back to the donations, really, once again, I'm going to say thank you to everybody who donated to help me get to the concerts. Plural. I did go to 2, and those are, if I can remember without, I did write them, but I think I can remember them without saying. Mauricio in Mexico City, Jonathan in Nayarit, Mexico, a Yorkshireman. He's an Englishman, but he lives in Nayarit, Mexico. Thank you, Jonathan. And a late donation, which just came in the day before the concert, the second concert on Friday, from Oscar, also in Mexico City. Thank you to you guys. And from United States, we've got Mr. Randall, Randers, and Chris from Las Vegas. Thank you, Chris and Randers. And from Canada, we've got I've got Brian. Thank you, Brian, and my friend Dallas, who I hope to see soon. We have video chats fairly often, and it's not gay, but it is enjoyable nonetheless. Thank you, Dallas. So thank you to all those guys. I was hoping to get a ticket for one concert. And I thought, okay, if I go to one concert, maybe I can afford to buy a shirt or get the poster or something. And I would still lose money by taking time off work, but that's okay because I just wanted a ticket because they were very expensive and I couldn't realistically afford it or couldn't justify spending the money. And I ended up getting enough money to go to 2 concerts, and I spent all of your money. I bought a lot of shirts. This all went back into Metallica, and which in kind of, back into the channel. And I've got to most of your requests, video requests. I still have a couple to take care of, but thank you. And I got the posters, and I've got to get a few things to show here, some props. I think I ended up getting 4 shirts, all bootleg. I didn't buy any official shirts. I think Elon Musk would have to donate for me to buy official shirts. But I did get the posters from each night, which I'm not going to show because those are very, very delicate and fragile, and I don't want to have them out because then I have to put them somewhere temporarily where my cat might destroy them. But I do have, I'll show you, I got the official beer cups. This was, and they had the poster artwork on it. And so there it is, and they've got the date on them. You can't really read it, but it's down there. So this is from the second night, which was my first show of 2. And it's double-sided. That was the official poster. And then this was from the poster from the cup, the poster design on the cup from the third show, which was my second show. So that's it. And then a couple of bootleg things I got, just knickknacks and things like that. Something that I will be using in my note-taking today is I got the unofficial 72 Seasons writing utensil, and I got the 72 Seasons unofficial flame starter, fire starter. Some people call it a lighter. I don't know. And so there it is. And there it is. And I got, this is the coolest thing I got. It's so small and so cheap and everything. But I love this. And I showed it in the bootleg merch video. Maybe you saw that. You saw that. But isn't that cool? James Hetfield with, in his sunglasses and the mutton chops. This seems to be the black era Hetfield. Very cool. Now, I did go to El Chopo a couple of days ago on the day after my second concert, which was September 27th. I went to El Chopo on Saturday, September 28th. There will be video. This was going to be an all Metallica El Chopo video. So you might want to watch that. I know a lot of people, you know, I have a lot of people that watch my channel that like Metallica and El Chopo and music and metal. So you might like that. And I got a couple of things, a couple of little things, and I did get a cool Metallica shirt, which I will show in the video. And I also got this cool, there was a guy there that he was like I guess like a born again. He was preaching the word of God, and he gave me his card, and it's in the Metallica font. Jesus, or I guess in Mexico it's Jesus. Jesus is the master of masters. And I ran into a bunch of people, a group of people from Germany. They were from the Metallica German, what do you call it? The German-based fan club, unofficial, and they were called, it's Metallica, and they were very nice. Saint Germany, they gave me that, and I did talk to them in the video at El Chopo, which will be up, I think that'll be up Sunday this week, which is going to be like October 6th, I think that is, so watch that. I talked to those guys in the video. They were a group of 50, I think they said, that came from Germany to watch all 4 shows in the week between. They went to Cancun for a few days, some of them. I talked to some of those people from Germany at El Chopo in the next video. So stay tuned for that. And they also gave me this. I'll open this now. This was something I guess that they made themselves. This is I guess it's like a bandana. And this is the first time I'm seeing it. Look at this. This is cool. This is dedication. It says STG, hashtag is STG 273. I'm not sure what that is. There it is. This is it's a bandana, it's a scarf, it's maybe a blanket for a tiny person. Could be a bib. It's, I guess, whatever you want it to be. But very nice that those guys from Germany gave me this nice little gift. Very cool. So there's that, and I can let me cross this off what I've talked about. All right, now getting to the show itself on Friday, September 27th. As I mentioned, this was a little bit different than last week. Leaving my house was the same. Taking the Ruta or Combi or Suburban or Colectivo. We had a little discussion about that with a few. I had a little discussion about that with a few commenters from Mexico. We call them different things in different parts of the country. Here in Cuernavaca, where I live, they call them rutas. So I took the ruta outside my house to the Pullman de Morelos bus terminal. Took the bus to Mexico City on Friday morning. I took the bus at 11 o'clock. I like to have lots of time. It took exactly an hour and a half to get there, which was amazing. There was no traffic, or very little traffic anyway. Now, what changed at that point, I did eat the burrito again, which I did on the Sunday. So up to eating the burrito was the same thing, but then where it was different on the first show, Sunday, September 22nd, I went directly to Foro Sol, to the stadium, to the concert. But this time I was staying overnight, because when I went on Sunday, I ended up staying at the bus terminal for 5.5 hours overnight, because the first bus was at 5 a.m. the last bus, I had missed the last bus. It was like at 10:30 or 11 o'clock, I think. So I had to sit at the bus terminal for 5.5 hours and waited for that. And I didn't want to do that again. So this was also where your donations went. And again, thank you. I thought, all right, I got enough donations that I can stay in a hotel. And believe me, it's not a night. It wasn't like, it's a hotel that I've stayed at. Oh, probably they know me. They know me by name. They know me. I've stayed there probably not less than 20 times over the last 7 or 8 years. When I first started staying there, it was like 340 or 350 pesos. Now it's like 650 or 700 pesos. And just so you think that I'm not taking your money and, or so you don't think that I'm taking your money and staying in, luxurious digs or something like that. This was not, it was called Hotel Estadio. And actually one time when I stayed there, there was a murder in the room next to mine and they had the police tape, crossed off, and I read the report saying what happened. It was a feminicidio. A woman had been murdered in that room and they were doing an investigation. That was right beside me. So this is not like the Four Seasons that I'm living it up, wearing a bathrobe and slippers and, getting room service, something like that. It was just the Hotel Estadio. And yeah, it wasn't even the 3 seasons, let alone the 4 seasons. It was, I don't know, it was like a cloudy, rainy spring. That's what season it was. So I stayed there more as a base for anything else. So I got there in the afternoon, early afternoon, took all my stuff there. Now I did take my laptop because I was going to work at 5 a.m. on Friday. I was going to work from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. And I asked them, I said, can you let me go check a room? I need a room with a fast internet because hotel internet is not very reliable sometimes. And so again, they're very nice and they knew me. She gave me 2 keys. She said, you can go check them both, whichever one is good. You can stay there and then bring me back the key of the room that you're not using. So I investigated both of them and I connected and I logged into my work and it seemed to be working, but it was a little bit sketchy. And then I'm a teacher and I received a call from a student. I tried to answer and it wouldn't connect. Even though I did a speed test and I did the login test when I logged into my job and everything seemed to be good, but when I tried to answer the call of a student calling me, it just wouldn't connect. I thought, oh, this is going to be really bad if I can't work. I'm going to lose 5 hours pay, which I really, really needed. That's how desperate I was or am for money, that I was going to work at 5 a.m. in this hotel after getting back from the concert. And couldn't connect, so I thought maybe it'll be better at 5, 6 a.m. and because maybe nobody else is using the network and it's going to work faster. So when I got back to my hotel at, I don't know what time it was, 1 a.m. or something like that, I tried it again. And I logged in, it said everything was fine. I did a speed test, everything was fine. And then a student tried to call me for a class and it wouldn't connect. So I thought, there's no way I can work. Because if I connect a normal way and then try to take the hours that I'm scheduled for and I don't answer the calls, they block me from working for like a week. So I couldn't risk that. So I cleared my day. So that cost a lot of money. That cost me 5 hours pay. But I did, I thought, all right, I've only had like 4 Saturdays off the entire year. And this was the 5th one, I think. And Sundays too. I think I've worked every Sunday except 4, maybe 4 or 5. So it was nice to have a day off. And so I stayed at the hotel for a while. I was texting with various friends about, one of them was a friend of mine, Adriana. You maybe have met her in other videos. We were going to meet up the next day. And so I was texting with her, I was texting with other people, so just relaxing in the hotel a bit. It was raining, so I was also maybe hoping for the rain to pass. And Mexico just suffered a really bad hurricane in Acapulco, and we got the edge of it, so it was raining for like 3 or 4 days, almost straight. And so I stayed in the hotel for a bit, and then I left the hotel to go to Forosol, to the stadium where the concert was. It was still raining lightly. I was wearing a t-shirt, only a t-shirt, but I had my tote bag and I had a hoodie in there and a raincoat just in case. So I got to the stadium and it was pretty cold at that point. It was still raining a little bit. You can see on a bootleg merch video, it was still raining a little bit when I got there. Isn't this video long? We got to be about, 18 minutes right now? What does the time say? It feels like 18 minutes. I can't see my camera, so I don't know what the timer says. So I got to the stadium and it was quite cold. And I did put on my hoodie. Didn't need a raincoat, I think. And I did my bootleg tour and everything, went through and everything. Saturday was great. After the concert, I went to, there's a taco stand, a puesto de tacos, about 2 blocks from the Hotel Estadio where I always stay, that's open 24 hours. I've been going there for years and years. And I was just about to go there. And this was after the concert. As I was walking there, a block before it, there's a woman also in a puesto de tacos, and she had birria. And I thought, it's so rare that I eat birria. So I stopped there and had tacos de birria after the concert. And then Saturday, I went to bed at 2 or 2:30 in the morning. Just woke up naturally at 7 a.m. and just lounged around my hotel again. I was texting people, listening to music, kind of taking some notes on my phone about things I wanted to talk about or do. Did a little bit of the video editing from the bootleg videos the night before. And then I went to El Chopo. I left my hotel around 10, had some street food, some tacos about 10:30 near outside the metro station. Went to El Chopo, did my video, and you can go watch that video when it comes up. I think that'll be, as I said, this Sunday, October 6th. Anyway, and by the way, for the concert, it stopped raining around, maybe around 5 o'clock, and it didn't rain again the whole night, but Jesus Christ, I was freezing cold. It was probably 14 or 15 degrees Celsius, which, especially if you're Canadian, you're going, that's nothing. And yeah, it is nothing. But in Mexico City, it is pretty cold. And so I did have my hoodie on, and I was wearing a hat too. I thought that would keep me a little bit warm. I was so cold. My feet even were cold. And it wasn't raining, but just it was so damp and ugly and nasty, and it just wasn't very pleasant. So getting to the next thing, the renovations of Photosol. My seats were very, very different for the second show than they were for the first show. In the first show, I was kind of at the back, which is where the stage normally would be, but because Metallica was playing on the floor, they moved that stage out of the way and they built a grandstand that probably held 5 or maybe 6,000 people. That was where I was for my first show, which was the second Metallica show. This time I was at the opposite end. This would have been, I guess, the west end. Really not much difference with the stage being in the middle. Everybody is pretty much around the same distance from the center of the stage. But I like this better because I was under the roof. They've done renovations to Photosol over the last year or so. It just reopened in August after all the renovations. And they've put kind of not a roof, but an overhang. Like the seats are like this, and this kind of overhang is like this. And I sat very, very, very high up at the second row from the top. I chose that seat with your donations, thank you. And it was a very expensive ticket, like $130 US, something like that, which in Mexico is unbelievable. My Iron Maiden ticket in November was like about $40 for the same seats. And my dog is going to bark. There he goes. There's a woman walking past, and he doesn't like that. And so I sat up there thinking that if I'm under the roof at the height of the rainy season, that's going to protect me, but that didn't matter because it didn't rain. But I did like having that little roof, that roof that goes all the way around, which is new because it feels, it just makes it feel, as much as you can make a 60,000 seat stadium feel more intimate. That was what it did, and maybe makes the sound a little bit better, which I'll talk about in a second, and maybe blocks the wind a little bit. I don't know, but I really like sitting in that seat, and I was right in the corner. So, and I did put that into my thought process when I bought the ticket. I love symmetry, and I like being, I was like behind home plate. The stadium used to be a baseball stadium. So I was behind home plate. So the stage was here, and I was exactly perfectly like this. I like seeing this V like this with the stage in the middle. It was perfect. Now getting back to the sound, I mentioned when I talked about the first concert that I saw last Sunday, that the sound was really, really good, and it was, as far as stadium shows go, it was quite loud. I thought this night it sounded even better, and maybe it was even a little bit louder. I doubt that there was any difference, but maybe it's just a mental thing, or maybe, as I said, because I was a little bit under the roof, maybe that kind of held in the sound a little bit more. But the sound was excellent. Man, oh man, you could hear and pick out every instrument, every little, especially during some songs. I can't remember which they were. I was going, man, I can really pick out the difference between Kirk's guitar and Hetfield's guitar. Now, I'm not talking about when there's a solo, when Kirk is playing a solo, but like a little like, I can't remember. It was during, I think at the end of Harvester of Sorrow, there's where the guitars are playing two very different things. You could clearly hear them. Amazing sound. And this time I saw two different openers. When I saw the first weekend, it was Ice Nine Kills and Five Finger Death Punch, neither of whom I cared about at all. This night was Wolfgang Van Halen Mammoth and Greta Van Fleet. I don't really care about either of them, but overall I did enjoy both of them much better. I like Wolfgang better than Ice Nine Kills and Five Finger Death Punch, and I like Greta Van Fleet more than Ice Nine Kills and Five Finger Death Punch. And I'm not even that familiar with Wolfgang Van Halen Mammoth or Greta Van Fleet, but I did enjoy seeing them, and they both also sounded really, really good. For me, it was just kind of cool seeing Wolfgang because I'm a massive, huge Van Halen fan, and it was kind of cool for me to see, the son of Eddie Van Halen, one of my first musical, I don't know, hero, that's not the right word, but that I was one of the bands I was first a really, really big fan of. So it was a cool nostalgia thing, or a little bit emotional maybe, to see Wolfgang Van Halen, heavier than I thought. Not Wolfgang himself, but their music was heavier than I thought. And I thought they were pretty good, Wolfgang Van Halen Mammoth. God, it takes forever to say that. That's going to make this video even longer. And then Greta Van Fleet. I've heard a couple of their songs. I don't want to hear about Led Zeppelin. Just stop it. Stop right now. They're okay. I don't love them, but they're okay. Better than Ice Nine Kills and Five Finger Death Punch. I swear I didn't know what they looked like, and I was very surprised to see the singer. It was kind of a strange-looking guy. But yeah, they were pretty good, right? I'm not going to go out and buy their albums or anything, but they were pretty good. Again, I talk about this with Ice Nine Kills and Five Finger Death Punch, and Wolfgang and Greta Van Fleet did the same thing, asking the stupid questions. How is everybody tonight? Do you want to hear more? Are you ready for the next song? Are you ready for Metallica? The stupid questions. I hate it. And it seems that every band is guilty of that. If I was ever in a band, I would not ask you any questions. I would just leave you in peace. So that was that. And the merch, I showed you the merch. I think that's all. I think I can get to the set list now. Now, I do have, as I said, 3 ways that I want to, and I'm really, really gonna nitpick this, or nitpick these set lists. So Metallica played 4 nights, and it's the no repeat weekend. Now that's the key thing, is they call it the no repeat weekend. So each weekend, 2 shows and then 2 shows again, no repeats per weekend. They never said, and I assumed that they thought this through. They didn't say no repeats, no repeat cities. They said no repeat weekends. So Mexico was and is the only city that got 4 shows, 2 weekends. And when it was first announced, I thought, wow, they're going to do 4 shows with no repeats. They're going to play 60 or 64 songs with no repeat. But then once the tour started, like 6 months or 8 months after the tickets went on sale, you could kind of see what the set list was very, there was a clear formula to it, which I'm going to get to in a minute, I hope. And I thought there's no way they're going to do 4 completely different sets, but they did do some. There were some differences from one weekend, from show to show. Set list A and set list B on the first Friday and Saturday were 100% different, and set list A and set list B the second weekend, Friday and Sunday, were also totally different. But from one Friday to the next Friday and one Sunday to the next Sunday, they kept the core of the set list. The opening 2 songs never changed, and the last 3 songs never changed in set list A and set list B. But there were some changes, especially in set list B. Set list B had more changes. Now I'm going to talk about all of that. I'm going to go through this with a fine-tooth comb, I think is what they call it. I'm going to put it under the microscope is what I'm going to do. So going through this now the first thing I'm going to do is just compare the stock set list A and set list B. And they did change them a little bit from city to city, but more or less these were how they were in every city they played, at least on this tour. Sometimes usually A was Friday, B was Sunday, but occasionally I think they did play the B set list on Friday and the A set list on Sunday. I hope you're understanding this. And so I thought, okay, those are probably going to be pretty predictable. Now I looked at them side by side about 2 weeks ago, and they were much more formulaic and pretty easy to figure out when you saw them side by side. And that's what I want to talk about first. So the first thing I'm going to do is go through the general, the generic, the stock set list A and B. All right. This is not, it's very, very, very close to what they played the first weekend. Maybe, actually my set list, which was the second set list B on the second night of the first weekend, it was exactly how it was in other cities. All right. So what I'm going to do is go through them, not compare them in terms of how I like them. That's coming up later. But in terms of what they play and the formula they have. So the opening song, set list A and set list B is how I'm going to do it, which is Creeping Death and Whiplash to open. Both old classics, Creeping Death from the second album, Ride the Lightning, Whiplash from the first album, Kill 'Em All. They're both, classics, fan favorites. Everybody loves those first 3 albums, maybe 4 albums. And, Whiplash is very thrashy. Creeping Death is not thrashy, but it is very, very fast and a great opening song. The next song in the generic set list, Harvester of Sorrow and For Whom the Bell Tolls. They're both, again, from what I would call classic albums. They're both in that 5.5 minute range, somewhere around there. They're both kind of slow and heavy, and they fit together. Interchangeable. So there's another similarity. Next, number 3, set list A was Leper Messiah. B was Ride the Lightning. Again, we've got the second album and the third album, the ones that everybody loves. And they're both kind of heavy songs and kind of, but also they have fast parts in them too. And they're both in that 6.5 minute range. So again, those 2 songs are very interchangeable. The next one, number 4, very, very interchangeable. King Nothing, set list A, and Until It Sleeps, set list B. They're both from Load. They're both around 5 minutes, 4.5, 5 minutes, something like that. They're both kind of, same tempo, same pace and everything. Again, very comparable. Next, number 5, 72 Seasons, set list A, and Lux Eterna, set list B. Both songs from the new album, and they're both fast. Number 6, A was If Darkness Had a Sun, B, Screaming Suicide. Again, both from 72 Seasons. 7, these were a little bit kind of the same. The Day That Never Comes, set list A, and Welcome Home, Sanitarium, set list B. Now they're from different eras. Day That Never Comes was 2008, Death Magnetic. Sanitarium was 1986, Master of Puppets. So in terms of the era, they're different eras, but they are similar songs. They're what I call, and I'll refer to this again probably later, the quiet songs. They're kind of quiet, but then they also get heavy. Fade to Black, 1 is like that too. So again, very, very clear comparison between those 2. The next one, number 8, really these are kind of no relation to each other. 8 was Setlist A, Shadows Follow from 72 Seasons and Wherever I May Roam from the Black Album. Can't really draw a comparison between those 2. That's really the first one. So the first 7 are very, very formulaic. And I'm not saying anything bad about that. I'm just pointing it out. That this is what I think, and Lars has done this set list pretty much for Metallica's entire career. And I'm sure this is what he was trying to make them have kind of the same feel. And dividing, the hits versus the deep cuts, or some, the long songs and the short songs, having a mix in each set. So next, number 9, setlist A was Orion from Master of Puppets, and setlist B was Call of Cthulhu from Ride the Lightning. 2 old classic albums, 2 long instrumentals with Cliff Burton's fingerprints all over them. Very, very easy comparison there. 10 was Nothing Else, another easy one, Nothing Else Matters and Unforgiven. Both quiet songs and both from the Black Album. Kind of, quite similar. Next, 11, these 2 songs have nothing to do with each other. Setlist A was Sad But True. B was Inamorata. Sad But True is like 5.5 minutes from 1991. Inamorata is like 11 minutes, the longest song in their catalog, and it's from 23 Seasons, which is 2023. So very, very different there. Next, number 12 was Hardwired, setlist A, and Blackened, setlist B. Very different eras again, similar to Day That Never Comes and Sanitarium. But Hardwired and Blackened are both, Blackened's a little bit longer and much older, but they're both fast, heavy, thrashy, energetic songs, which fit well at this point in the set list. A little kick into the set list at that point. Next, 13. These ones are not too similar. Fuel setlist A and Moth into Flame setlist B. They're both kind of similar pace, and I think they're around the let's say around the 5-minute mark. And they're both kind of, as I said, the same pace, different eras, but still some similarities. And 14, it's Seek and Destroy setlist A and 1 setlist B. They're both from classic albums. They're both, I guess, in the 7-minute range around there. Seek and Destroy is obviously a much more anthemic song, not as much as, much more than 1. 1 again is kind of a quiet song, Fade to Black, Sanitarium, The Day That Never Comes, something like that. They were both songs that the giant, enormous beach balls that came down from each tower. They had 8 towers around the stage, and these were the songs that released the beach balls. Both very, very, crowd-pleasing songs. Oh, and going back into Fuel and Moth into Flame, both of these songs also featured lots of fire and pyro. The only song that had pyro, Enter Sandman had a little bit, but they had, fire during Moth into Flame and Fuel. And then the last song, the closing song of setlist A was Master of Puppets. Setlist B was Enter Sandman. Not too much similarity between these two, other than the fact that they're both, they're almost, you could say, Metallica signature songs. Master of Puppets is like 8:12. Enter Sandman is around 5.5, something like that. Kind of the same era, 5 years apart, but they're both very good closing songs. So that was just something that I thought when I was looking at these set lists weeks ago, and I followed them every set list they did through this whole tour, but hadn't really noticed until I saw them side by side how formulaic they were. Now, what I'm going to do next is, everybody wants to know which one had the best set list out of 4 shows or even out of 2 shows. You could compare the first 2 from the first weekend, the 2 from the first weekend, the 2 from the second weekend. Overall, which was better? Was set list A better the first weekend or the second weekend? Was set list B better the first weekend or second weekend? I'm kind of going to dig into that much deeper now. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to compare the A set list versus the B set list only for the ones that I saw. All right. And again, these are a little bit out of order. So the first show that I saw was the second show, which was set list B of the first weekend. I know that's confusing, but if you've been paying attention to Metallica, you know how it works. So I'm going to compare set list A, which was my second show, which was Friday the second weekend, with set list B, which was my first show, which was the second show of the first weekend on Sunday. If you think that's confusing, imagine trying to write this all down. That's why there's so many things crossed out. It was very, it gave me brain fog. All right, so this is just for my personal shows. Because, you talk to your friends and say, oh, which one did you like better? And I on the surface, it was pretty clear that I liked set list A better. Just looking at the songs at a glance, say yes, set list A. But I want to go through these track by track now, the ones that I saw, the shows that I saw, and look a little bit closer and see which set list I preferred. Now, what I'm going to try to do is keep this focused on how they are as live songs, because there is a big difference. There are some songs, at least one I can think of very, very clearly, that I love live, but the studio version is not that great. But I wish they would do it at every show. So I'm gonna focus on the live versions of them, not just what I think, but how good they are live to the crowd. Also, I like hearing songs that I'd never heard live before, and there were quite a few of them on both nights. Not just from the new album, not just from 72 Seasons, but from classic albums. I've just, for whatever reason, never heard them play live over the years. And so I'm gonna, it's always nice to get a surprise or a change in the set list. So all of those are taken into account for me to tell you definitively, track by track, which set list I like better for the 2 shows that I saw. I can't repeat that enough, all right? So I'm gonna go set list A and set list B, even though for me, I saw them in reverse. I saw set list B first. So Creeping Death versus Whiplash. I saw Creeping Death on the second weekend and Whiplash the first weekend. Not even close, Creeping Death. I love Whiplash, but for me, Creeping Death is I don't ever want to see Metallica and not hear Creeping Death. It's not just one of my favorite, it's maybe my favorite live Metallica song. It's one of my favorite Metallica songs in their catalog, but live, I think it's way better than Whiplash. And even on record too, I do like it more than Whiplash. So that's an easy one. Creeping Death is just outstanding. Very easy to give that one. So setlist A has 1, and I'll give you the total at the end. Track 2 was Harvester of Sorrow versus For Whom the Bell Tolls. And this one is tough. It's my instinct. I think I've cited this before. For years and years, I always considered that Harvester of Sorrow was my favorite Metallica song. In all their catalog, Harvester of Sorrow is number 1. But over the last, I don't know, a few months or a few weeks or a few days even, I've realized I think we as metal fans, we have a tendency to a little bit disregard or to poo-poo songs that are hits. Not necessarily radio hits, but hits in the sense that they play them in every show. They're fan favorites. Everybody expects them to play them. And you kind of disregard those, similar to Creeping Death. And, you know, I've always loved For Whom the Bell Tolls, but I've always thought, it's kind of like a Rock and Roll All Night or a, you know, Crazy Train or something like that. But you know what? I think as a live song, not just for me, but how the crowd reacts to it, I think I have to give this one to For Whom the Bell Tolls. Studio, I would maybe still put Harvester of Sorrow over For Whom the Bell Tolls, but live, I'm gonna have to go with For Whom the Bell Tolls. So that's 1 each for setlist A and setlist B. The third song, this was setlist A was Hit the Lights, and setlist B was Ride the Lightning. This is a tough one too. Hit the Lights was the first Metallica song I ever heard, so there's obviously a great sentimental and nostalgia factor to that one. But as a song, I think I like Ride the Lightning better. And in terms of the, you know, hearing the crowd reaction to it, I think they like Ride the Lightning better. I think Ride the Lightning better. Ride the Lightning, I think it works better as a live song. So I'll give that one to Ride the Lightning. Next is setlist A. This was a surprise, and I'm gonna do the surprises after I compare my set list. Number 4 was Of Wolf and Man. This is an interesting mashup. Of Wolf and Man versus Until It Sleeps. Clearly Of Wolf and Man, and I'm gonna talk about Until It Sleeps. No, you know what? Until It Sleeps is not gonna come up again. No, it is. I talked about this. I think when I talked about the first show that I saw last week. I love Until It Sleeps. It's maybe my favorite song from Load, and I'd never heard it live, so it was cool to hear. But no, undoubtedly Of Wolf and Man. Next, number 5, 72 Seasons versus Lux Eterna. Another easy one for me, 72 Seasons. That's probably my favorite Metallica song from the last 2 albums, 72 Seasons and Hardwired Ellipsis to Self-Destruct. And it's, oh man, I can't, it's hard to put it on any kind of list beyond the most 2 recent albums. But 72 Seasons, that's classic Metallica. Love it. Lux Eterna is good, but 72 Seasons by a mile. Next, another, good comparison. Setlist A was If Darkness Had a Sun versus Setlist B, Screaming Suicide, both 72 Seasons songs. Again, another easy one for me. I don't love If Darkness Had a Sun. I like it. It's one of the better songs for me on 72 Seasons. Screaming Suicide, it's there, and I don't care too much about it. So that one is easily If Darkness Had a Sun, and also much, much better live too. On the record, I think I like it better, and live, I definitely liked it much better. The kick drum and the crowd was getting into it. If Darkness Had a Sun for sure. Next is number 7, No Leaf Clover, Setlist A versus Sanitarium. Setlist B, no question, Welcome Home, parentheses, Sanitarium. No Leaf Clover might be, it was cool there was a surprise because they don't play it very often. It might be my least favorite Metallica song in their whole catalog. I just never, maybe because they never did a studio version of it. It was on the S&M that came out in 2000 or 2001, whenever that was, and I didn't really like that album too much. And the other song was called Minus Human. And you know what? When they played No Leaf Clover, I didn't even know what it was. I swear I want to say I've heard that song twice in my life, No Leaf Clover. And so when they played it, I didn't recognize it. I thought, this must be a song from 72 Seasons that I'm not, I'm familiar with If Darkness Had a Sun and Lux Eterna and 72 Seasons, the title track, and in Amorata. And then I saw the guy beside me, he was singing along with that. I thought, I don't think it's from 72 Seasons, because he's singing along with it. Like he really knew it and he was really into it. And then I realized, this has got to be No Leaf Clover, and it was. So that's an easy one. That is Sanitarium. Next is number 8. Shadows Follow from 72 Seasons, setlist A, versus Wherever I May Roam, setlist B. Easily Wherever I May Roam. Love it. Even though, Shadows Follow, it's new. I hadn't heard it live before, obviously. Wherever I May Roam, I have heard them play it live. I love Wherever I May Roam. That's an easy one for me. Next, this is another very, very good matchup. It's Orion versus Call of Cthulhu. Both, as I mentioned, both long, both epic, both instrumentals, both, from back-to-back albums, same era. And I'm not a massive fan of these long instrumentals, but for me, this is Orion pretty clearly. Sorry, Orion. Next, although I had heard Orion before, when I saw them in 2012 in Mexico City, they played 8 nights, they played it there and I heard it. I'd never heard Call of Cthulhu, and it was cool to hear it live for the first time, but no, Orion for sure. Next, number 10, another easy one to compare, Nothing Else Matters versus Unforgiven. As I mentioned earlier, they're both from the Black Album, they're both the kind of quiet songs. I'd never heard Unforgiven before, believe it or not. It's almost a staple, not quite a staple like Enter Sandman or Sad But True, but it was a hit from that album. I love Nothing Else Matters. Even though it was my first time hearing Unforgiven, and I do like it. I love Nothing Else Matters. I think I've heard it every Metallica show since that record came out. I don't know if they've ever dropped it. And yeah, there's a little bit of a burnout factor to it, but no, Nothing Else Matters. Easy. Next, number 11 is Sad But True, setlist A versus Inamorata, setlist B. I don't know about this one. No, it's Sad But True for sure. I again, similar with Nothing Else Matters, I am tired of it. It's been played probably at every show since that album came out. But it's undeniable how much I love Sad But True. Inamorata was kind of cool. Just I see it as kind of as a novelty. It's the longest song in their catalog. I have a feeling that after this tour, after they finish touring next year for 72 Seasons, I think I'd be surprised if they ever played Inamorata again. So anyway, it was a cool novelty. But no, I'll give it to Sad But True. Next, number 12 is... Yeah, this is an easy one. Setlist A was Blackened, which is typically in Setlist B, I think. But Setlist A was Blackened. Setlist B was Hardwired. Easily Blackened, one of my maybe top 5 Metallica songs. And, I did one of my episodes of I Want to Talk About This album last summer, I think. And I talked about the Bunions, one of my favorite bands from Mexico City. And at the time, they had a new album out called Beefcake. And I did an episode talking about this album, and I love the Bunions. And my friend Jorge, who's in the Bunions, he texted me a couple of days ago. Or maybe it was on the bus when I was going to Mexico City. I can't remember, but he and I were texting, and he's a big Metallica fan. And he asked me, did you go to one of the shows or both? I said, yeah, I went to the Sunday show, and he went to both. What did you think? And kind of like what I'm doing now. And he said he was dying to hear Blackened. I think he said it's his favorite song. And I said that I love Hardwired. For me, that's one of the great Metallica songs. Latter era for sure. And even, that's like old school Metallica. It's fast, thrashy, energetic, short, raging solo. And he said, that he hates Hardwired now because they called an audible to play Hardwired instead of Blackened. So now he holds a grudge against Hardwired. I was very happy because I would have preferred the same thing too. And I was kind of disappointed that they played Hardwired instead of Blackened. But then I heard Blackened at the following show, and all was well. But that's an easy one for me. As much as I love Hardwired, Blackened, I would take any day. Next, we got 3 more. Next, setlist A, Fuel versus setlist B, Moth into Flame. Fuel for sure. This is one that I mentioned earlier that I'm not a big. I like Fuel. It's a pretty good song as far as load goes. I think it's a great song, but I don't love the studio version of it. But I love this. I talked about it when I talked about. God, I'm getting all these videos mixed up. In one of my recent videos, I mentioned how much I love Fuel. Amazing. Yeah, Fuel for sure over Moth into Flame. And two more. Number 14. Setlist A was Seek and Destroy versus Setlist B 1. This is a pretty tough one. I mean, Seek and Destroy has, it's a real crowd pleaser. It's anthemic. Everybody's into it. Although 1 too, I guess for different reasons. This is the most difficult one yet. I think I have to say 1. And I mean, they're both staple songs. They never drop any one of those. Yeah, 1. I love 1. Yeah. 1. I mean, it is close, but I feel comfortable going with 1. And then the last song is Setlist A, Master of Puppets versus Enter Sandman. You know what? When I was writing these, I thought this one easy, Master of Puppets. And I'm still going to go with Master of Puppets, but Enter Sandman made a pretty strong case when I really thought about it. I mean, as songs, as studio songs, I would definitely take Master of Puppets any day over Enter Sandman. But live, I mean, Master of Puppets, it has all the aspects of Metallica that at least that I love, and I think that most people love. It's long, epic, it's got fast parts, it's got a quiet part, it's got so many changes. It's from the great era. And Enter Sandman is Enter Sandman, but live, I feel like Enter Sandman is maybe a better closing song. You know what? I want to. Should I change it? Is it this important that I have to rack my brain over this? No, you know what? It's really, really, really close, but I'll still. Yeah, I have to give it to Master of Puppets, although I think the crowd favorite would obviously be Enter Sandman. So that's it. So, I mean, yeah, this did match up with my original thought of Setlist A being much better. So let me count them. So we got 1. Setlist A was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it was 10 to 5. So I mean that's pretty clear. That's almost 2-1, and yeah, that seems about right. Which is not to say that I'm disappointed in Setlist B. It just has different vibes to it. If I matched up, the third song from Setlist A versus the fifth song from Setlist B, maybe if I chose A the first time, maybe if they were in different orders, I would have chosen differently. Do you understand what I'm saying? But yeah, so pretty clear for me that Setlist A was better. So that's 2 setlist comparisons. Now I'm going to go to the third and final one. I'm curious as to what I think about which. I'm going to now compare Setlist A of the one that I saw versus Setlist A of the show that I did not see, and then Setlist B that I saw and Setlist B that I didn't see, because they did change them quite a bit. Setlist A, there were 4 changes from one night to the next. So even if you saw Setlist A twice, you got at least 4 different songs. If you saw Setlist B twice, you would have heard 7 different songs. So pretty good. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to compare Setlist A, the one that I saw, which was the third show. Yeah, Friday, the second weekend. So hard. Versus Setlist A that I missed, which was the first show on September 20th, Friday. So, and now I'm not going to talk about the ones that were the same, because Creeping Death and Harvester of Sorrow were the same on the first Friday and the second Friday. So the first one that was different was the show that I saw, Setlist A. They played Hit the Lights in the third position, and the third position in the show that I missed, which was the first show, which was Leper Messiah. Easily Leper Messiah. Man, you know what? There were 2 songs that I was dying more than anything to hear. realistically, I know they're not going to play some kind of monster or fixer or broken, beat, and scarred. But of the songs that they could play, Leper Messiah was maybe number one, and it sucks that they played it at one of the shows, and I was not at that show. But I would have loved to have heard Leper Messiah. Master of Puppets is maybe my favorite song, my favorite album ever by any band, and I'd never heard Leper Messiah live, and I missed my chance. If I'd gone to that very first show, I would have seen it. But anyway, yeah, Leper Messiah overhit the lights for sure, at least at this point. The next one that was different was Setlist A, the show that I saw, of Wolf and Man. This was the fourth song versus, this one's simple, King Nothing, which was the show that I didn't see, which was the first show, easily of Wolf and Man. No doubt about it, eh? And next this was in the seventh position. Setlist A, the one that I saw, was No Leaf Clover. Setlist A, the show that I missed, was The Day That Never Comes. Easily The Day That Never Comes. I would have much rather heard that, even though I've heard it multiple times. I love it way better than No Leaf Clover. So that's an easy one. And then the fourth one from Setlist A that was different, the one that I saw, Setlist A, was Blackened. The one that I missed, Setlist A, was Fight Fire with Fire. As I mentioned, Blackened for sure. So of those four that were different, there were two that I liked the alternate, which were of Wolf and Man and Blackened, and two that I would have preferred the alternate of the show that I missed, which were Leper Messiah and The Day That Never Comes. So like Jerry Seinfeld, I'm even Steven. All right. And then Setlist B. Now there were 7 changes here from the first Sunday to the second Sunday. All right. Seven differences. And again, I'm going to talk about the ones that I saw versus the ones that I missed on the last night. So I saw show 2, comparing show 2 and show 4. So the first difference was Setlist B. I heard Ride the Lightning, and it was replaced at the next show in Setlist B with Cyanide. I really like Cyanide, but that's pretty clear that I would have preferred Ride the Lightning. I've heard Cyanide live multiple times, and I love it. And I've heard Ride the Lightning too, but Ride the Lightning. Next this is a good matchup: Until It Sleeps versus Memory Remains. So Until It Sleeps was the one that I heard. The Memory Remains I didn't hear. I missed out on the last night. Until It Sleeps easily. Memory Remains, although that is another, I don't really like the studio version of Memory Remains. It's much better live. Nah, it was cool. I've heard Memory Remains live before, and I hadn't heard Until It Sleeps, and I love Until It Sleeps. Yeah, I'll go with Until It Sleeps. All right. Next, the next one that was different was Setlist B. The one that I saw was Screaming Suicide. Setlist B, the show that I missed, was Too Far Gone. Both 72 seasons. I don't really care too much about, in terms of live songs, I don't really care about either one of these. Although on the record, I definitely prefer Too Far Gone. For me, it has that little bit of a nod to the No Remorse riff. So I guess it's close, not because I love them both, but I'm kind of indifferent to both of them. But I guess I would have chosen, if I had a choice, Too Far Gone. The next different one was, and this is a good comparison too, and again, with the formula, you can see which ones they're swapping out and which ones they're replacing it with. Next was Welcome Home, Sanitarium, that I saw, versus Fade to Black, which they played at the last night, which I didn't see. And I only realized the next day when I saw them on Friday a couple days ago, my second show, Metallica's third show, and I was at El Chopo the next day. I was leaving El Chopo and I was still thinking about, I was still in Metallica mode. I still am in Metallica mode. And I realized, man, they didn't play Fade to Black at any of the 3 shows. That's incredible. I thought, I assumed that Fade to Black was in the stock or the standard set list, but it's not. So Fade to Black is a little bit of a treat. So Sanitarium that I did see versus Fade to Black that I didn't. That's the toughest one yet. Even as studio songs, I've always, it's easy to compare those two songs. They're from back-to-back albums. They follow the Metallica formula. They're both in that 5-6 minute range. They're both the quiet / heavy songs. I've never known which, talking about with friends or which one I enjoy more. I still don't know. If I were gonna, I think I would have to listen to them back to back, either the studio versions or the live versions, and think, okay, I like this better. Maybe then I wouldn't even know. And they both have that really cool heavy part that goes into the solo, Sanitarium, Fear of Living On, Natives Getting Restless Now, Mutiny in the Air, Got Some Death to Do, Mirror Stares Back Hard, Kill, It's Such a Friendly Word, Seems the Only Way for Reaching Out Again, and Fade to Black, No One But Me Can Save Myself, But It's Too Late. Now I Can't Think Why I Should Even Try. Yesterday Seems As Though It Never Existed. Death Greets Me Warm. Now I Should Just Say Goodbye. Those songs are mirror images of each other. Can I call it a tie? I feel kind of queer calling it a tie. That's like the people that get half and half pizza. Just get a pizza with everything on. I've said that before. That's the toughest one for sure. I think, I need a reason to pick one over the other, and I can't find one. Or even just one part that I like better than another one. I think the crowd likes them both equally. I have to justify my reason. I'm really struggling here. Help me, leave a comment down below. Which is your favorite between Welcome Home, parentheses, Sanitarium, and Fade to Black without, maybe I should give it to Fade to Black just because there's no parentheses in the title. It's not Fade to, parentheses, Black, and it's not Fade, parentheses, to Black. It's not parentheses, Fade to Black. There's no parentheses. Maybe I should give it for that. Flipping coin? I don't know. You know what? This video has been long enough. I think I'll, just closing my eyes, I'll give it to Sanitarium just because I like Master of Puppets as an album better than Ride the Lightning. I love Ride the Lightning, but Master of Puppets is, for me, clearly my favorite over Ride the Lightning. Next is setlist. We're still on setlist B. The one that I saw was Wherever I May Roam. This is strange. There's no relationship between these two songs. Wherever I May Roam, which I saw, versus You Must Burn, which I didn't see. Easily Wherever I May Roam. As I've said, I'm not the biggest, maybe it's just taking me time, I'm not the biggest 72 Seasons fan. That's an easy one. That offset the Sanitarium versus Fade to Black. Two more. This is another tough one. I'm not sure what to do here. It's the setlist B. The one that I saw was Inamorata. The one that I didn't see, which was the last show, was Whiskey in the Jar. This is a tough one too. I love, if you were going to compare these just as songs, I love Whiskey in the Jar. Love it. And I've never heard it live. I've never been to a concert where they've played it live. I have heard it live and seen videos of it live, and it doesn't seem as good live as it does on the record. As I said, in Inamorata, I don't love it, but it was kind of cool. There was, it's an 11-minute song. I feel like a novelty. They're not going to play it again. That's kind of cool. This is a tough one too. As I was going over the Cork and Kerry mountains, I saw Captain Farrell. Maybe if I sing it, that'll something will kick in. And his money he was counting. I first produced my pistol, then produced my rapier. I said, stand and deliver. Oh, the devil, he may take ya. Maybe my singing will turn me off of Whiskey in the Jar. Whiskey in the Jar. I would have liked to have heard Whiskey in the Jar. All right. Kind of strange, though. I maybe feel also a little bit odd choosing a cover over an original Metallica song. But yeah, Whiskey in the Jar. The next one, this is so easy, and this is the other one I mentioned earlier. There were two. Going into these 4 concerts, please, whoever I'm talking to, please play these 2 songs. I don't care if they play anything else or if I hear Enter Sandman 16 times, 15 times. I just need to hear Leper Messiah and Battery. And I didn't hear either. They played them both. It's amazing that I was really, it doesn't ruin my life or anything, but man, those are the two that I'm really sick over, that I miss Leper Messiah and Battery. I've heard Battery live at least a couple of times, but I haven't heard it for years and years. They've just, I missed the shows where they played. When they played here in 2017, they played 3 nights. I went to 2. They played Battery in the one night that I didn't go. So of the 4 nights that they played, they did play Leper Messiah and Battery once each. And I wasn't yet in separate shows, and I wasn't at either show. So it's Hardwired that I did hear versus Battery that I missed. Easily Battery. Oh my God, that's a top 3 Metallica song. Maybe it could be maybe even number 1 at some point. So that's it. So let me do so this was 2 and 2 for setlist A of the songs that I heard, and then the ones that were swapped out and replaced. There were 2 that I liked more and 2 that I liked less. So that even Stevened out. For setlist B, 1, 2, 3. There were 7 differences. 1, 2, 3. No. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. No, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 to 3. 4 that I preferred, the ones that I heard, and 3 that I would have preferred if I had had a choice. Yeah. So overall, of the songs that were swapped out, it was 6 between the 2 shows. No, how long? 7, 11, and I preferred 6. So it's 6-5. So it all evened out. Very, very. Again, I guess that's the formula that they're using. So to do a tally, so they played 60 songs total. And I guess so 15 and 15 the first 2 nights. Well, 15 all nights. So that's 60 total. 30 different the first 2 nights, 15 and 15, and then 4, 34 plus 7, 41. So they played 41 different songs. 60 songs total, 41 different, which is pretty good because I really, really love set lists and songs and all this. And I did a lot of looking into this, and I saw that on this tour, since this tour started like a year and a half ago, they've done 48 songs total live. Some of them they've just played once or twice. I think Am I Evil they just played once because Brian Tatler joined them somewhere in Europe. I don't think they played it again. So that's pretty good. So out of 48 songs that they had, ready to go for this tour, they played 41 different in Mexico City. So what are this is something I didn't look into. What are the 7 that they didn't play? I have no idea. Am I Evil is 1. I don't know if they played No Remorse on this tour. I know for sure they didn't play Damage Incorporated because I was dying to hear Damage Incorporated, but they didn't play it on this tour. Disposable Heroes, I've also never heard. Anyway, I think that's enough for that. Oh, I was going to throw my pen up and it was going to land on the floor and break. So that's it. That was my deep, I don't know what I'll call this video. I don't like the term deep dive because everybody uses that and it's such a cliche. That guy Seth Meyers calls it a closer look, so I don't want to call it that. I mentioned earlier that I was looking at these under a microscope, so maybe that's what this video would be called, that I'm analyzing Metallica under a microscope, or microscope. Some of them are double. What's the difference between a microscope where you use both eyes versus these ones that used in high school science? I don't know. And then you have Metallica set list on the little slide, or the Petri dish, whatever. A little slide, right? What the fuck? All right, so that's it. That is my Metallica analysis of the 4 nights in Mexico City. I had such a great time at those 2 shows that I went to. It would have been not just monetarily, it would have been unrealistic for me to go to 4 shows, to travel to Mexico City 4 times, or to stay in hotels 2 weekends in a row and miss work. And I got 2 dogs to take care of and a cat to take care of, and I just couldn't have done it, but I'm happy with the shows that I did see. Thank you again. The 7, can I remember the 7 off the top of my head? We got Mauricio, Jonathan, Oscar, Randy, Chris, Brian, Dallas. Thank you, all of you. You made me very, very happy. I hope some of you can make me happier by talking about these Metallica albums that I mentioned earlier. If you want to donate, remember, at Danbowski Mexico on Instagram. Send me a message if you want to donate, and I will send you the information. And you can tell me what record. Could be Metallica. Could be anything. I'm just using Metallica as a suggestion because I'm still Metallica, but I'll talk about any record you want. I'll even talk about some crappy Peter Criss record because there are a lot of them. Whatever you want, I will talk about it. If you feel that you would like to donate. But thank you for everybody's donations and for watching all these videos. These videos are always very successful. Coming up later this week, there after this one you're watching now, there's going to be 2 more Metallica ones, which I guess should be Thursday and then Sunday. And then starting next week, maybe I'm back to, I want to talk about this. I've been hiking. I haven't gone hiking for weeks. Now I'm getting really off track because this video needed to go on. Are we up to an hour and a half now? What else? I guess that's it. Anyway, thank you once more for all the donations, and thank you for everybody who's watching. I'm going to do this again for Iron Maiden. November 20th, I'm going to see Iron Maiden in the same stadium, Photosol. Metallica played 4 nights. Iron Maiden can only handle 1. But so I'm gonna do the same thing with Iron Maiden. And stay tuned for that. Paul McCartney, I'm going to see Paul McCartney, I think it's a few days before Iron Maiden. Same stadium. All these shows are at the same stadium. It's really big. And that's it. Can I thank you again? Please allow me to do it. Thank you to everybody who donated and who will donate. And really, thank you for watching. It's very cool that people are interested in the mundane aspects of my life and my ramblings of Metallica and whatever else. Thank you. See ya.